As an outsider to the Western civilizational identity, who simultaneously lives at the frontier of the Western sphere of influence, I have been given the opportunity to observe you guys with a certain emotional distance, which however still permits an authentic personal insight into the whole issue. The turmoil brewing between the common population and its elites, composed of experts drunk on the seeming success of their Faustian deal with the devil, is nothing less than a symptom of collapse, which, at this point, seems to me inevitable. There is no solution that can be found in the framework of the current paradigm. This paradigm being the liberal system of mass mediocrity, worshipping material successes of its own detachment from reality. Before someone falsely accuses me that I am an ill-meaning doomer, or even worse, a clickbait-seeking YouTuber, I want to dispel that with a dose of reality, the best antidote to our follies, illusions, and wishful thinking. The fact is that the West managed to shatter all human connections ingrained in our DNA through millions of years of mammalian evolution. By signing the deal of temporary and unsustainable hedonistic success, it pitted against each other parents and their own children. Boomers jumped in just at the right time, so they could monopolize wealth in an extremely predatory and selfish manner, strangling any hope for the healthy continuation of the Western identity across generations, therefore across time. This decision plunged subsequent generations into debt slavery. Essentially, the boomers sunk their teeth so firmly into the meat of their children, they sucked them dry and forced them to sell their own potential. The painting of Saturn devouring his son from Francisco Goya comes to my mind. The shadow motivation of greed was masked with alluring promises of personal liberation. Like an anglerfish, the light of liberalism lured unsuspecting prey in between its sharp teeth. The West sacrificed the anchor of community for the fragile unit of the nuclear family. And hand in hand with this subversive destruction of social fabric, it utterly annihilated any kind of healthy relation between men and women. It poisoned the most basic fundamentals of natural order, leaving you, a Westerner, as an atomized, indebted individual, unable to change anything about the current societal decay. And in doing so, it essentially eliminated most of your hopes for continuing your blood through procreation. Once this perversion of liberty, consisting of sucking you dry, started to take a toll on the profit margins of the devouring generations, they simply decided to import in those coming from other, much more vital and fecund civilizational frameworks, changing you, the last bearers of Western identity, into an evolutionary blind alley. The call, "just have more kids," is about as realistic as expecting a tree struck into charcoal by lightning to have more apples. And having more children with whom precisely? The anti-natalist generations of depressed, philosophically naive, ideologically subverted, entitled, hypergamous liberal Western women? Yet you are not achieving that on any realistic scale. There is, of course, a rising movement of men trying to fight the issue. Some choose the false promises of consumerist masculinity of Andrew Tate, as if that would open any doors rather than just their wallets. Some choose the Sigma grind set, as if that was not just a ploy to get them back to generating those profit margins. And some choose traditional religious frameworks, as if those were not precisely the original birthplace of the current crisis. Or at the very least, they have proven to be as immune to this disease as Native Americans to smallpox. There are few of those who actually will succeed in creating much-needed offspring, but mostly such people will then devolve into conservative mindset, which is absolutely impotent in stopping the machine of society just grinding their children down into new, ideologically subverted debt slaves, brainwashed by TikTok. a new, fresh, neurosis-ridden blood sacrifice for the devouring Leviathan. And most will not even achieve this. They will stay stuck where they are, crushed under the heavy boots of Western identity. Simulacra of solace will be achieved through simping for some online gal, or even better, through an AI-generated, fully personalized, immersive girlfriend experience. Hence, I am not a doomer. I just recognize systemic necrosis when I see it. There is no cure for necrosis. The flesh just dies. But you are not yet useless to the universe. You are just fighting the wrong battle. A successful civilization is not the one whose body is eternal, but the one whose spirit is. The predecessor of Western civilization was the Roman one, and YouTube is already filled with those describing the similarities between the fall of these two civilizations. Be it the widespread death of spiritual tradition, corrupt elites, hedonistic materialism, or hegemony of infertile urbanism. The death of the body is certain in both cases, but in both cases it is precisely the chaos of the crumbling paradigm that permits the creation of new, transcending ideas, keeping alive the best of the hidden spirit, extracted from the previous era. As I am currently describing throughout my Catholic History series, it was the abstract, dematerialized spirit of Roman virtues and institutionalism, safeguarded by the mystical order of the Church, that permitted the creation of the West. Whilst Roman identity in itself was a decaying, decadent shadow destined to die, the concept of Roman virtues, beauty, and philosophy were not. They have been permitted to live on through new, ethical modes of thinking of Christianity. So much so that the whole subsequent Western civilization looked up to Rome, endlessly trying to imitate it through projects like the Holy Roman Empire. It is futile trying to save the Western identity. There is too much schizophrenic baggage. It will die out because it wants to die out. It does everything in its power to eliminate itself from the game. Such a self-destructive identity cannot be reformed, and if you choose to cling to it, you will go down with it. Your only way out is to become its descendant. Acknowledge the Western ancestry, but separate yourself from it, like a new offspring. And here is the only hope for you, the Western individual. You need to find what you are, if you are not to be Western anymore. And in doing so, leaving this sinking ship, you need to take the best of its philosophical products with you, leaving the mistakes and baggage behind. Keep alive the love for scientific exploration, but leave behind the hubris of materialistic obsession. Cling to the values of personal liberty, but remember, not all anchors are shackles to be shattered. Enjoy the ethical values of humanism to the best of your realistic capabilities, and stop subverting them through the veneration of corrosive mediocrity of mass society. You cannot live under the wishful illusion of universal human equality. And finally, you need to rediscover and recognize the spiritual nature of our universe. You need to personally experience the mystical and witness the universe unraveling. Only once you are not blinding yourself with the taint of infantile nihilism, you can truly see value in this universe, in humanity, and in yourself. Should such a process, salvaging the good fruits of Western identity, be successful, something new and good might be created. Something that would make the dying Western identity into a worthwhile heritage for your descendants, because they could inherit a world filled with meaning, a new world of hope for the future. Whether the husk of the West is able to squeeze out enough willpower and creativity to achieve this miracle remains to be seen. And as of now, it seems that both sides of this neurotic inner conflict of the West, would rather supplant this hope for the future with the thrilling suspense of mutual animosity, in the vain hope that finishing just one more swing of the political pendulum will achieve some kind of decisive victory and subsequent societal bloom. It will not. The pendulum is part of the Western identity, and so it cannot free the West from constraints of this identity. Identity from whose structural degradation this whole crisis originates. Good luck.